Welcome to Bethan TV. My name is Dorothy Babazi. The first month of July 2023. Health and wellness every Saturday from 8 to 9. I know most of you have been missing me. I've gotten a lot of messages missing this show. But guess what? I'm back and we shall move forward. Now today we'll be discussing about family planning and contraceptives among couples and relationships or women out there. But in the studio I do have Dr. Simon from Bethany Hospital, who will be describing more and more what is the importance of having family planning, why should families have this incorporated. And we have seen modern families nowadays trying to be part of this gender to ensure that they try to space their children, plan enough, and understand why family planning is here and why it was brought up. Welcome to the show, Dr. Simon.
Thank you very much.
How has been your day?
My day has been great, thank you.
How was June? We are into a new month now.
Wow, I'm so glad to be here, especially on the first day of July.
Of July, yes. Okay, now we're talking about family planning and contraceptives.
Yes.
How do you describe family planning to someone out there for the layman's language to understand what we're talking about?
Well, I will start by introducing myself again.
Please.
My name is Dr. Simon Peter Mugabe. I work with Bethany Women and Family Hospital, and I'm so happy about and excited about this topic that we are going to discuss about family planning. And the beauty with it is one of the subjects in medicine which have been right away from how the term is stated. It's stated in a way that everyone can understand it.
Yes.
And just like how it is called family planning, it is indeed a way of planning for families.
Yes.
As plain as it is, I think everyone who hears that statement will be able to imagine what it will be.
Okay.
Though, of course, there are some things we have incorporated into which are scientific for you to be able to achieve that objective of making a manageable and affordable family.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Simon. Now that you've talked about the planning,
yes.
is it also part of budgeting, or it's only children that we're talking about in this planning?
Yes. Most times when we say family planning, the first thought is children.
Children, yes.
Well, I think it should be more than that. It should be more of budgeting. Of course, children in the picture, how I will take care of them, how I will raise them. It should be all those things put together.
Okay, now that you've told us, why is it important for someone to have family planning in their thoughts or in their planning as well?
Yes, all of us should have that thought of planning our families so that we can be able to offer a quality of life which we wish our children to have, and also to offer them a quality time so that we are not burdened by so many to give attention to, both physically and financially, but be able to give them quality time and be content that indeed they have been given a good background and we are able to raise them to their best, to the best of their potential. And we shall, so that we feel proud one day that we don't regret having to take certain decisions which would impact our children, yet we had opportunity to plan and give them the best of what we can.
Well, thank you so much. Somehow I would want to disagree, but I don't want to disagree with you, where we have seen parents that have fewer children, but they're not creating even time for them, because the gadgets have incorporated. We have the gadgets, kids be having time alone, time out, and I think, but we shall see how it goes. But you could share with us some of the types of family planning that a family could start with, or a couple that is out there and they want to begin with a family as well.
Yes, as we have said earlier, that there is in the planning aspect we have the scientific approaches which will help us to be able to achieve those different objectives, and we have we can call them types of family planning. We have one of them is intermittent abstinence, and that encompasses about 3 of the different types. One of them is called coitus interruptus. It is interruption of sexual intercourse. Basically, at the time when a man is supposed to release the sperms into, which will end up causing fertilization, they withdraw. So in a way that the sperms are not able to access the uterus, and so they will not, pregnancy will not occur.
Okay.
Of course, as we go on, we shall realize that each method has a strength and weaknesses, and there's no method which is absolutely 100%. But that is one of them under the periodic abstinence. The other one, we have what they call the natural family planning method. Here, a woman is required to study their cycle for about 6 cycles to get to know
their safe days.
The safe days. Of course, the likely chance for someone to conceive is around the time of ovulation.
Ovulation, yes.
There are studies which have been done which show the what they call the ovulation window is 6 days from the expected day of ovulation, and around that time is the highest chance for someone to conceive. So a couple will observe that and avoid intercourse during that time, or use another method so that they don't conceive around that time. So in a way, they will be able to achieve family planning. The other method we have are the mechanical methods. These ones are of course quite common. One of them is the male condom. I think that is the one which is most popular.
Yes.
A man puts it on before sexual intercourse.
Yes.
And then it will help to prevent the sperms from going into the vaginal canal and eventually into the uterine cavity.
Yes.
And this will prevent the conception from happening. We have female condoms. Many people have thought about them, but the few people have taken them up, but the female condom is also can also be put by the woman to prevent sperms from accessing her uterine cavity through the cervix. We have other mechanical methods like cervical cap, diaphragm. They cover the cervix. The cervix is the opening to the uterus. So in a way that they will prevent the sperms from entering into the uterine cavity. So we have another category of methods which we call the intrauterine contraceptive device. And they have different types. We have those which are hormone based and those which are non-hormonal. The most common non-hormonal is the Copper T380 intrauterine contraceptive device. Once it is inserted through the vagina, through the cervix into the endometrial cavity or the uterine cavity, and it will cause a sterile inflammatory reaction, which is a hostile environment for the sperms. So in a way, it will prevent contraception from happening. We shall also ahead realize that it can also be used as an emergency contraceptive method. Though most times we have not used it for that, but it is one of the emergency contraceptive methods you can use. It can be inserted as late as 5 days after delivery, after sexual intercourse, or 5 days after the day you thought ovulation occurred, and it is effective for that. We have another category of them we call the hormonal family planning methods. Among the hormonal, we have one of them are the oral pills. We have commonly we are offering combined oral contraceptive pills. These ones are a combination of both estrogen and progesterone. We have progesterone only pills. These ones have progesterone only. The role
what do those
of these ones, how they work, we shall have to understand what happens in the woman's menstrual cycle. A woman from her brain. There are some parts of the brain. One of them is called the hypothalamus. The other one is called the pituitary gland. There are some of the parts of the brain.
Okay.
And those parts secrete some hormones.
Oh.
From the hypothalamus, we have a hormone called the gonadotropin releasing hormone. When we are thinking in the aspect of reproduction now, it does produce other hormones, but we are interested in gonadotropin releasing hormone. So gonadotropin releasing hormone, once released from the hypothalamus, will go to the anterior pituitary gland, and from the pituitary gland, it will cause the release of hormones we call gonadotropins. There are two, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So those hormones will flow through blood, will reach the ovaries to cause different effects.
Yes.
At the level of the ovaries, they have what they call receptors where they bind to act. Follicle stimulating hormone binds at some cells. They are called granulosa cells, and when it binds there, it causes release of a hormone called estrogen. Now, it is estrogen will cause the inner layer of the uterus, what we call the endometrium, to grow thick in preparation of pregnancy. And then luteinizing hormone is responsible for ovulation. It causes release of the biggest of an egg from the what we call the leading follicle, the biggest follicle. And the other thing we didn't say about follicle stimulating hormone is it's just like its name, that it stimulates growth of follicles. Follicles are like, I could call them in layered sacs which contain eggs. You know, the ovary has like different packagings where the eggs are.
Yes.
So those are what we call follicles, and those are the ones which can be seen on ultrasound.
All right.
The eggs are microscopic. So in a way that the some of the hormones released from the effect of those gonadotropins, like estrogen and the progesterone, have a negative feedback. In science, there's what we call negative feedback, that once they're released in given quantities, they will flow back to the brain at the level of the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland to inhibit further release of those hormones. Okay. So our hormonal methods are made with the estrogen and progesterone to inhibit, to cause that, they simulate that negative feedback offered naturally
to the brain.
Prevent, to the brain, to prevent flow of the gonadotropin. So in a way, we shall have inhibition of growth of the follicles. We shall have inhibition of ovulation. We shall have the inner layer of the uterus not thickening, which becoming thin. We shall have the cervical mucus plug thick. So in a way that all those conditions will prevent pregnancy. It is a way how our hormonal method will work. They combine oral contraceptive pills, these ones which you have, those you have to take daily, and the progestin on the pills. Then we have the implants. The implants also release hormones, and they will act also. They will also act in a similar way. Okay. We have the common one. We have the 3-year one. We have the 5-year one, and they will cause contraception in the same way of the hormonal. Then the other method of contraception are the permanent methods. The permanent methods. Vasectomy. Yes. And vasectomy. Yes. The surgery for the male. Done for the male, and there's a part of the testis where sperms flow through. It's called the vas deferens. It is done, which is cut to prevent, and then it is cut and ligatured so that you prevent flow of the sperms through. So in a way that a woman will not become pregnant after intercourse. Then the other one is for the woman is the tubal ligation, where both tubes can be cut and they are ligated, and it will prevent the woman from conceiving. Okay. Then the last one I can talk about is the emergency contraceptive methods, where we have the pill, and then we already talked about that the copper T 380 intrauterine contraceptive device can also act as an emergency pill family planning method. Yes, basically those are the ones, some of the methods for family planning which can be used.
Well, you're still talking to Dr. Simon. My name is Dorothy. Health and Wellness happens every Saturday from 8 to 9. Now, he has elaborated most of the things that I really would want to hear. But you can get all that information at Bethany Women's Hospital, located at Luzera or Entebbe as well. So you could go there and, you look for the best gynecologists we have there. And trust me, they'll give you all this information, because some are scientifical, some you would need a chart for us, the ladies, to see, maybe also the male, to see that someone can understand what you're talking about. Now, speaking about family planning, I believe society has a different perspective about it. How, you as a doctor, how do you think we can incorporate this to the society out there?
Yes,
briefly.
Thank you very much. I have actually made clients come to me and say, they told me there is a blood test which can be done to know which method.
I've done that. I asked the doctor the same question.
Yes. And then I tell them, no, there's nothing like blood test which can be done.
Yes.
We have what they call the medical eligibility criteria.
Okay.
For the different methods.
Okay.
For example, we shall give the method according to, if someone has a given disease condition or complication, they may not be fit for a given method, but they can be fit for another method.
Oh, true.
For example, if someone has active infection, what we call pelvic inflammatory disease, they will not be fit to have an intrauterine contraceptive device, because it will hinder them from recovering. If someone has had maybe a what they call a clot, or what we call venous thromboembolic disease, we are cautious about giving them, we don't want them to have the estrogen-based hormonal contraceptives, but they have other good alternatives which will work perfectly for them. So we need to educate, I think, our society more, so that we eliminate those gaps and they can be able to access the methods with good information and without any worries. And actually, talking about that aspect of society, there's the fear as well of saying this family planning method might cause me infertility,
even barrenness.
Yes.
And, grow fat, mania what?
Yes,
there are a lot of myths around family
there are a lot
planning.
of myths, but there's nothing really like that. There have been many studies which have been done about different family planning methods. There is an aspect we call time to pregnancy period or interval. If I stop using this method, how long will I take to conceive?
True.
Whereas it is expected, for example, like if I remove an implant from you, that after 1 week you should conceive. It is acceptable up to 7 months if you have not conceived. If I've removed an IUD, is still acceptable up to 7.5 months. If you have stopped using a condom up to 4.5 months, you have not yet conceived, it's still acceptable. If you have been using the injectable method, it's acceptable up to a year. 13.5 months, you have not yet conceived, it's still acceptable. And if someone has not conceived, they surely they should come to us, and we can talk about that. Because it could be many more other factors.
Yes, true. Yes. Now we'll take a short commercial break. Dr. Simon and I are still here. We're talking about family planning and contraceptives. We'll be back. Welcome back from that commercial break. My name is Dorothy, Health and Wellness, and in the studio I do have Dr. Simon Mugabi, Dr. Simon Peter Mugabi, and we're talking about family planning and contraceptives. Before we went for a commercial break, we were talking about the myths and what people say about, family planning. But if you do have a question too, you can call us in the studio lines. That is 0786 050 762. You can get a pen or a paper and write this number. If you have any question, we'll be answering it on 0786 050 762. I'll be back to you, Doctor. What are those myths? I've shared with some before we went for a commercial break. You could add some, those that you've had as a doctor, as a gynae.
Yes.
And you even get shocked. You're like, hey, 2023, we are still getting those myths. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dorothy. Well, there have been various myths. Some of them are based on what we believe in according to our different cultures. Some of them are based on how we have perceived it according to our faith, and some of them have been based on what we have heard, what maybe
some have experienced,
used the method.
Yes.
Maybe some of our colleagues have experienced it.
Yes.
And some of it we have experienced maybe, and we have come up with how we think the method will impact others, and we sometimes have given strong recommendations, and probably prevented some people from going to get their methods. Well, there is one of the major issues I think I have interfaced is just like we said, there is a scientific medical approach to this family planning. We expect that they will have some degree of side effects.
Very true.
Just like any drug, any drug will have some effect which we design, and some which we expect, but which is not so, which might not be so comfortable. But again, these are methods which have been studied scientifically, and the different issues which can come up have been studied to see which effects are there. There are a lot of concerns especially with the hormonal methods. Where people are afraid they will affect someone differently. How I have been affected may not necessarily
be the same.
Be how you'll be affected. There are different things which can happen. There are people who have maybe some mood swings. Some people have some headache, the vaginal dryness. Some people have no periods, they will not bleed.
Some too much.
Some will bleed more than
what is expected.
Yes, more than what is expected. Yeah, those are different methods, but everyone who faces a different side effect should be able to come back to the doctor who attended to them and be able to see how to mitigate. There are a lot of things which can be done.
Very true.
At each, and in case the method is not so suitable, the method can be adjusted. But surely most of the effects which can happen are effects which can be dealt with, or which are not for whom in medicine there's what we call the risk benefit. The benefit of us planning our families versus the uncomfortable, some of the uncomfortable issues will outweigh, or if it is not really comfortable that much, we can entirely change the method, but we always have something which can suit everyone. Yes. And so no one has to sit back and worry about certain things without coming. Surely many people have already come to us. You can always come to us and we see how to address the different issues which can come up. Yes.
Now, what are some of the challenges are faced by people when they're accessing family planning? I'll give a scenario where we are attending, I've been a journalist, now we're attending a workshop, and some health worker was telling us what is happening nowadays is that you will find a young girl being raped, and all journalists you do is you want to report the story, but instead of taking that child to a health facility to access, help as the police does its investigation, you want to do the investigation. So we have seen some of the difficult challenges having these methods being put in place. I don't know, I could be a journalist, but I don't know where I could get these services. I don't know.
Well, one of the challenges I think commonly has been fear of how we shall be perceived.
Very true.
If I am found buying condoms, maybe
Yes.
how I will be looked at, and this fear has caused a lot of limits. And actually, the different partners in family planning have tried to make some of the services as accessible as possible by distributing condoms in different places, in hospitals,
even in bars,
yes, to make them as accessible as possible, so that in case someone still has fear, they should still be able to access. But one of the biggest issues has been really fear of how we shall be perceived. I think we need to eventually change our mindset. We need a fundamental change of our mindset.
Very true.
Because if we are able to plan our families, we are able to raise a better society, which a better manageable family, which will translate to a better manageable society. We are able to improve our quality of life as a society. And I think that should be something which we should be able to do anything to have in our lifetime.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, we told you earlier that you could call us on Bethany TV if you have any questions, and the doctor will be here to answer them. The number to call is 0786 050 762. You can call us and drop your question. Trust me, Dr. Simon Peter will be here to answer it there and then. We're talking about family planning, how when you have it, you plan better. You know, you include the spacing of how many kids you want in a particular time. Do you think this has also improved in the sustainable development as in countries or in the world? Do you think it has?
Yes.
As a major factor, has it done its best?
Yes. If I look at it in the medical way, I'm not an expert on development, but I have seen from the statistics, for example, when you look at China, which implemented a one-child family policy, I think, by the Communist Party 40 to 50 years back. And we see how they have been able to move and become a model of development. Of course, there are other factors which could contribute, but we see different countries which have been able really to have those planned, manageable families. People are able to raise a society they can afford. If I have maybe one or two children, or I have spaced them in a way that I will be able to afford to take care of them, I'll be able to provide good education, good health care. They will be able maybe to be connected to opportunities compared to if I have a large, overwhelming, unplanned family. Okay,
let's have one caller. Bethany TV, hello. Oh, we have missed that one. Okay, you can keep on trying, but do remember, when you call, stay away from your TV or reduce the volume on your TV set so that we can hear one another. Any caller? Bethany TV? Okay, you can proceed, Doctor. Sorry for the shortcut.
Yes, okay. So from the aspect of just reducing the family size, well, that is not what we are meaning by family planning.
True, yes.
But
disclaimer.
Yes, but from an aspect of having a manageable family implemented by countries, we see how they have been able to change so much the quality of their demographics, and we all dream of one day waking up and seeing that we have made a memorable contribution to our country by creating a better society. Okay. Yes.
So I would want to ask, what are those programs that have been put in place, to ensure that this initiative is put there for people to understand the importance, the disadvantages, and maybe to get more knowledge about family planning?
Yes, we have been, as a country, we have been blessed by many implementing partners and funders to offer as many of these services as possible to different parts of the country at a free cost, or very subsidized cost. But we shall testify that really wherever you have been, if you have gone for these different family planning methods, you have found that they are free of charge. There are people who have funded them. We have had people who have taught, who have offered to teach, like how we have this session funded by Bethany TV and the Bethany Women and Family Hospital to pass on the knowledge to and discuss with different people so that the knowledge goes on and reaches as many people as possible. That maybe one person can pick up this gospel, if we had to call it a gospel, and be able to think about our society in that direction.
Okay. Bethany TV, hello? Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you? Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Andrew.
Yes, Andrew.
I'm calling from Kono.
Okay, how is that side?
Yeah, this side is okay.
Okay, thank you for watching. What is your question?
I have a small question for the doctor.
Okay.
What would be the best method for someone with hypertension?
Oh. Okay, thank you so much, Andrew.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you for watching. Hypertension. Those were some of the factors we talked about that could change someone to be given a different family planning method to use. But I think we talked about obesity, we talked about having hormonal imbalances and what. We did talk about hypertension as well.
Yes. Thank you very much, Andrew, for that question. Hypertension is definitely one of the conditions you can think about, but it depends on if someone has had any other complication beyond it or not. Hypertension as hypertension per se, if someone has had what maybe we are defining as hypertension is that person who has the elevated blood pressure, above the systolic blood pressure above 140 and the diastolic blood pressure above 90, and they have been studied over a period of time, and they have remained high. So if someone has been confirmed as a case of hypertension, hypertension can be associated with other conditions. Its complications: heart disease, hypertensive heart disease, those who develop a stroke.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Fine. This is Brenda calling from Kamocha.
Brenda from Kamocha. Thank you so much for calling. What's your question? Brenda?
I use this but I've taken.
Sorry? Brenda, tatukufunya bulungi, but if you have any question, please, you can elaborate in any language. People think we are too much of English. Tatuli baluzungu nyo, you could ask your question in any different language, and trust me, the doctor will be here to, answer. We're talking about hypertension,
yes. Back to
Blood
Mr.
pressure.
Andrew's question. So, really, most of the methods are acceptable.
Let's take this one. Hello? Bethany TV?
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? Who are we talking to?
This is John.
Yes, John.
Mbadde mbuuza.
Obadde obuuza ki?
Nti omuntu ogenda ku family planning asida alina pressure. Actually valina onnira ng'afuna.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brenda. Brenda is asking, omuntu waba alina pressure ng'akulwedde akozesa family planning, ddagala kiri asobola okukozesa. Kye tuliko Brenda, kye tuli mu kwogerako, the doctor will explain more. Can you speak some Luganda?
Yes, sure.
Please go on. Yes.
So it's Brenda's question is
similar to Andrew's
question, but for hypertension, really almost all the methods are acceptable for hypertension, as long as someone does not have the extreme complications like stroke, like hypertensive heart disease, where you might be cautious maybe with the hormones, for example, which will risk someone the estrogen base, which could risk thromboembolic disease.
So they can take any medication.
Most of the methods are actually acceptable. Yes.
So Brenda, tetugenda kujja kumpe otubabulire eddagala ly'okumira. I think that is wrong. But you can go to a health facility, osobola ogenda ku ddwaliro, buli wafuniramu family planning n'okulira omusawo n'akulagirira ekyokukola oba n'ojja ku Bethany Women's Hospital wali Luzira ne bakuyambako okunnyonnyola ekyo ky'oba oyiseemu. Ne Dr. agambye eddagala osobola okulimira as long as back monitoring blood pressure neta sugar, the levels they know kubeerako, right, doctor?
Yes.
Hopefully I've said that rightly.
Yes.
Okay, and
also hypertension. You might find that we are worried maybe about hypertension, but it might actually not be the only thing. So that's why you have to come to the hospital, evaluate you, and say.
Ono Brenda nkomyewo
Brenda okuva Kamwocha.
Mbadde mbuuza nti emyezi
okoze otya?
Kempisi maze emyezi.
Brenda emyaka?
Emyezi muka nga siraba periods.
Okay.
Kati simanyi buzibu buva ku
empiso ya myezi emeka?
Empiso ya myezi 3.
Okay. Doctor, Brenda agambye akozesa empiso injector plan ya myezi 3 naye kati abadde talaba nsonga tagenda mu nsonga z'ekikyala. What could be the problem? Well, those are the things we talked about earlier.
Yes.
And I think now we need to go back to the layman's language, some Luganda here and there.
Yes. So thank you so much for that question, Brenda. Nga bwe twagambye ezo methods zina effects. Nga bwe twakinyonyodde waliwo hormone eziva mu bwongo nezijja nezipika amagi kukula akati ago amagi nago ne gavaako hormones endala. So kati era nezo hormones zireetera eggi kuvaayo kati eggi bwe livaayo ne refertilizinga ne likola omwana na implantinga nayo waliwo hormones endala zezivaamu. So kwegamba waliwo interplay ya hormones nyingi naye kwekyo ku nsonga gy'ogambye effect emu ku ziri engeri eddagala gye likolamu liziiza hormones kuva ku bwongo, ziiza ezo hormones kuva ku bwongo kupikaga amagi. So inewe zizaala hormone entono ekuze eri leya y'omunda mu n'abaana. So kati eyo leya ebeerayo ntono. So kati ogenda kwesanga tino eyo leya tekuze ate empiso eyinamu eddagala bayita progesterone. So kati progesterone ereetera eyo leya n'abaana kubeera nga esigadde ey'omunda akakabuya k'omunda kusigala nga katono. So kati ojja kumala ebbanga omuntu amala ebbanga nga akakaleya tekakuze ate akakaleya kekavaayo feelinga off n'olaba periods. So kati wakati kavudde obukate kakuze lwa effect yeyo progesterone oba togenda kulaba period naye tekina buzibu eddagala bwolivaako oba method nga ogivuddeko era periods ziddamu zikomawo. Naye yemu ku ngeri eyo hormone empiso gyekolamu akakabubi k'omunda ekakendeza leya size yaako.
So teeraliikira tewali kyalina kukola,
tolina buzibu bwonna, tolina kyewetaagisa kukola.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor. Would like to say thank you to all our callers, one from Kumi, another one I didn't get where, but also Kamwocha. Thank you so much for the calls. Doctor, what could be your last remarks about family planning as we sign out?
Well,
there's been a short conversation.
Yeah, we could talk about it.
Yes, we can have another segment with the midwife now, maybe. Yes.
But the last comment I can have on family planning is contraception is that it is an very important topic for us to embrace and learn more and make necessary adjustments so that it can be able to help us to raise a generation. Because when you raise a manageable family, you are leaving a lot of burden on the society. So you are raising a manageable generation which we can all be able to take care of, which the government can plan for, enough resources, and we are creating a better world a world we want to live in.
Yes.
As all of us, as Ugandans.
Okay.
Yes. Otherwise, there's a lot of medical aspect of it, but also the medical aspect is helping us to achieve the goal of as we plan. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was Dr. Simon Peter Mugabi. Yeah, I think you're a gynecologist, right?
Yes,
Bethany Women's Family Hospital here at Luzira, or Entebbe as well. We have a branch there as well. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Hopefully you've picked some 1 or 2 words that you've learned today as we're beginning the month. The only word I would say is abstain. If you don't know anything, please visit a health worker. Visit hospitals so that you get more information about family planning and contraception. We could be talking about this every single day, but the ball is in your hands. As tomorrow is Sunday, make sure you go to church. Pray to the Almighty to guide you all through this new month. For now, we'd like to sign out. Good night.